Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Well, everybody wants to hear well, and especially as one ages. But actually now we know that even younger people are having problems when you start to hear all the loud decibels in the shows that they've all been attending and even everywhere else. So I'm talking with the CEO of America's Best Hearing, Steve REINSHUTTLE. And is that right?
You got it right.
Steve REINSHUTTLE, great name, actually. So, Steve, this is a very big business, and it's getting bigger because so many people now who are younger are having hearing problems, not only the older adults, which happened naturally, right?
Right.
Okay,
so you have the younger kids that are walking around in their cars with their boom boxes and the boom, boom, boom that you can hear across the street, or right behind you. You wonder where all that noise is coming from. Those are the guys I put my business card on their windshield. I'll probably be seeing them in a couple of years. But we also have the baby boomers that are starting we have 10,000 people a day turning 65. And of course, the baby boomers aren't like the greatest generation, so they're more active and they're working longer, so they need to hear better. So we're seeing a lot increase in the baby boomers grabbing the hearing aids and needing the hearing aids because hearing aids can cause depression, withdrawal. A lot of people come in and say, I can't do my job because I can't hear my boss. So we see that happening a lot. But we still see a lot of the older generation helping the 80, 85-year-olds who are still stubborn and they don't want anybody to know they're old, so they don't want a hearing aid.
Right.
They'll use a walker and they will wear glasses and a cane, but don't put hearing aids on them.
Yeah.
So, but and we've gotten such better technology and their visibility and a lot of features have improved.
Yeah, and I asked Steve when I first talked with him, what makes America's Best Hearing the best hearing place to go to? Why don't you tell us?
Well, you have a lot of different levels of technology and people and how they want to do it. Especially in Florida, you get the retired audiologist or hearing aid dispenser that wants to work, 2 or 3 days a week from 10 to 3, sell a pair of hearing aids, make a couple $1,000s, charge a couple $1,000 extra over what you should be paying, and that's the retirement fund. With America's Best, we were open 5 days a week. We are scheduled from 9 to 5. We are more of a low-cost warehouse pricing model, and we want to give old-fashioned service with new technology and low cost. So that's what we really strive for, and really giving great service and being here available all the time, 5 days a week.
That's really important because my husband wore hearing aids, and there was always one thing or another. It wasn't the hearing aids problem, but as one ages, you don't quite, do the right thing with the hearing aid. And, it is an appliance. Let's face it. It's different than eyeglasses. You put your eyeglasses on, and most of the time they work. But a hearing aid is like, it's a piece of equipment, but it does make a difference, such a big difference that it pays to work at it. So let me just ask you that. So low cost, what if someone came in, and you can't just do this wildly, but if someone came in and they had, let's say, not terrible hearing, but they needed hearing help, what can they walk away with generally?
Well, we start about $400 for one, so you'd be looking at $800 to $1,000 for a pair, and that would be a good hearing aid. It wouldn't give you all of the bells and the whistles and the noise cancellation features that you should have, but still get you hearing help to hear the TV and help help you hear your grandchildren and things like that.
So, but are you also offering the high-tech ones if they want it?
Oh, absolutely. So what we do is we have to give you a complete hearing test. That's one thing that we insist on. And depending on your loss and what you need, because some people need a higher powered hearing aid, some don't need the high power hearing aid, so we have to prescribe the hearing aid to that loss. So unlike the ones you buy over the counter where they just fit one level of volume, we actually prescribe the hearing aid and fit that hearing aid to your loss, and then so that you don't have the problems of background noise. You can hear your highs are higher, your lows are lower. Sorry, I'm stumbling a little bit there, but
no, that's a very good way to put it, because people do have just what you said, and and of course they all say what you said is, oh, I don't need this, I can hear fine. And then if they bring their wife or their husband with them, their wife or husband said,
right.
No, you can't.
He mumbles or she mumbles.
That's right. And we always say, well, did they always mumble? Well, whatever
right.
it is. But and why do you think that people really, you think that they realize that if they can't hear, that they feel that people see them as old, but that they put that hearing aid in? And now they're so small, people don't even know they're wearing hearing aids.
Right, you do, but hearing loss happens so gradually that people don't realize it happens. The average people wait are 7 to 10 years to get hearing aid help. And by that time, you can wait too long because you can lose the understanding so that the brain stops understanding words. So you get what we call auditory deprivation, and you can't get that back. So you lose your high frequencies first, which are your TH, your S's. So you lose the consonants, and people tell me constantly they hear, but they don't understand. And that's because they've lost those hairs in their cochlea. I don't want to get too technical, but you have these nerve endings that are like a piano, and each nerve corresponds to a different note, and they lose those high notes first. So you hear the noise, but you don't hear the understanding because you lose the consonant sounds first.
That's true.
So.
Well, and I, as a gerontologist, I have made many, many speeches, and I've worked with a lot of organizations. And I have something that was developed when I was getting my master's degree called the unfair hearing test. And people have no idea what that does, because someone who hears perfectly fine, I can make it so that they don't hear perfectly fine. And then they look at me and say, oh, my God, I didn't know that's the way it was.
Right. Very, and it's amazing how maybe once you put hearing aids on someone and let them hear, they're like, oh, I didn't know this chair was creaking. I didn't know the papers made noise.
Right.
I thought they made the blinker on my car quiet. I didn't know that the blinker still made noise.
Well,
so,
you've been doing this.
That.
Yeah, you've been doing this over 20 years, and I'm sure you've seen lots of improvements. I mean, I remember when I first started, I don't know, maybe it was almost 30 years ago, that they were big clunking things. I mean, they weren't attractive, and yet when people wanted to hear, they wore them. And now, what happened?
Oh, they're amazing. We have ones that go all the way in the ear. Actually, the ones that go behind the ear are almost invisible now, and they offer a I'm sorry, someone was walking by the door. So. We have rechargeable hearing aids, and we have hearing aids that pair to your phone, so you can listen to music. You can answer the phone through your hearing aids. You can listen to music through your hearing aids.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And you can stream the TV through your hearing aids. So it's all Bluetooth connected now. So you can just answer your phone, keep it in your pocket, and talk on your hearing aids.
One thing I must tell everybody, there is safety concern. It's one thing if you want to say, oh, I don't want to look old, but safety, if you don't hear what's going on, you're really in the dark, as we say. Safety is the highest reason why you should get hearing aids. Don't you agree, Steve?
Oh, I agree. Number one, it is keeping your mental acuity going. But, we had people in Winter Haven that didn't hear the Hurricane Irma coming. Oh. And their building blew down. Now, luckily, no one was injured, but they said, "Well, why didn't you get up?" They're like, "Well, we didn't hear." I said, "You didn't hear the hurricane coming?"
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "No." So, luckily, they lived. So, yeah, I mean, it's just great. The safety, and then Ken, they've done studies with Johns Hopkins University where keeping your brain active and keeping your hearing active will hold off dementia and Alzheimer's. So that's
pretty important, I would say, right?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to scare anybody and say, wearing hearing aids will stop you from getting dementia. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, the more active you keep your brain, it's given a study that it will hold off Alzheimer's and dementia the more you exercise your brain, and hearing aids contribute to that.
Right. And the other thing, Steve, that I know is that people who don't hear properly, people think they're stupid. And I've seen in conversations, they do a few things. They either don't talk anymore because they're afraid they will act stupid, or people just raise their eyebrows because what they're responding to isn't what the people have been talking about, because they don't hear.
Correct. And that, to me, saying, what'd you say, makes you older than actually having an invisible hearing aid. And people don't want to talk to you. And like I talked about earlier, people do withdraw. So they don't go down to that clubhouse. They don't go out with their friends. They don't go out to dinner. So they change their whole life just because they can't hear.
Yeah. It is a very sad state, but I don't know why you chose the business. It's a tough business because it's a wonderful business, because you know how good it is when someone can't hear and all of a sudden they walk out of your center hearing. And I want to just tell everybody again, it's America's Best Hearing. You want to look for them. I'm going to give you their phone number. Is the number to, well, first of all, on the website, it's americasbesthearing.com. americasbesthearing.com. And your website, that's the website, but the phone number for people to call, is that the office number? What
the
number?
The office number here in Boynton Beach, the Boynton Beach number, let me get that for you, is 561-619-9274.
Okay, but now you have centers all over South Florida, so you don't have 1-800
we do, and
number?
you can reach that through the website instead of trying to give you 20 different phone numbers.
No, you can't do that. No, so you don't have a 800 number. You have all individual numbers. So that means go to the website and look up the location closest to you, because you said you had a lot here in South Florida. How many?
Yeah, well, we are in Boynton Beach, right here at Hypo, Luxo, and Congress, and we are opening in Delray on Linton Drive and in the Boca Ray Plaza. And then we're going to open in Royal Palm up on Southern Boulevard, out west of 95.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. That's where, a lot of people there, and they all need, I don't say they all need hearing aids, and it doesn't mean that because you're 65 you need a hearing, or even 85, but there are people younger that need hearing aids, so all you have to do is get a test, and they're free, aren't they?
Hearing tests are free, and you should really get started about 55, but by 65 you should at least get a baseline and find out where your hearing is. Do you need them? Or, just so you have future reference and you can see if you have loss that's happened over the next. You should get your hearing checked every year.
That's a very good point. Yes, you should get your hearing checked, and then you'll see if don't be afraid. You may not need them, and if you do need them, maybe they're just minimal, and you'll know that. And as Steve said, that's Steve REINSHUTTLE, and he is the CEO of America's Best Hearing, and he said that then it would at least give you an idea of where you're headed, and yet some people, you'd be amazed when you go in and you do fail the test because you're not hearing well at all, and that's, it's a shame. It's so easy. Imagine, Steve, if there were no hearing aids, what a terrible world it would be. Really. I mean, it's a great technology.
People would very suffer. Yeah, there'd be a lot of people that would just not do anything because they can't hear anything. So
right.
It would be a tragedy if there were no such thing as hearing aids.
Right, I know that. So it's very important that people do that. And as Steve said, there are different models. You can get one that's the least, and then you can get one that's to the very top level. But you may not need that, and you can decide as you're being helped. And one thing that Steve has, and he knows that hearing aid specialists who help you are very kind and they listen a lot. So all you have to do is go in and tell them, well, what are you not hearing, or what's your problems, and they can solve them, because there are the right hearing aids for someone. It's what your neighbor got.
Yeah, we have over 600 different styles and models.
600?
So,
come on.
Yeah, so it's got to fit every ear, so different shapes, different sizes, different strengths. So it's very important that we give you an accurate test and we choose the right fit for you. And that, again, what America's Best does is we have great hearing aid dispensers that, listen to you and do fit the correct hearing aid to you.
Well, Steve, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you took the time. I know that you're in Boynton Beach now, but you're heading somewhere else, and we're going to catch you. We want to start working with America's Best Hearing. The website, write this down, it's americasbesthearing.com, www.americasbesthearing.com. Thanks so much, Steve, for talking to us.
Thanks, Anita. Nice talking.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Bye.